That is perfect. That is perfect. Look at
What
that!
the heck?
Look at this! This is just perfect.
Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and today, as you might see, because of all the snow and the whiteness behind me, I'm not in Brussels as usual, but I'm instead in Sweden, in Stockholm. And what else is in Sweden? Well, Yalcin.
I'm in Sweden as well.
So we've been invited today by the Reason crew as well to go explore the city and to go record some field recording samples around Stockholm. Let's say the sounds of Stockholm. We're gonna take those back to the studio later to process them and turn them into some, I don't know, some techno stuff.
Yeah, you never know.
And so we've got a schedule today. We're gonna check out a whole bunch of iconic locations, and why don't you come along with us and explore that?
Alright, we are in the narrow street of the Stockholm. It's so tight you can actually hold your hands and reach on the both sides, maybe not the restaurant, but in the end you will be able to doing this thing. So, that is perfect.
That is perfect.
Oh, that is perfect, please. Oh,
Do we have a metallic object of
Yes.
some kind?
oh, that was the worst metallic sound I have ever created in my life.
One of those things that cute couples do on bridges
Yeah,
in
exactly.
big cities, right?
Until they are open, we are together thing.
The sound of true love. Oh wow, these spooky looking, what the heck?
It's supposed to be execution, or the, which Stockholmers tend to call it, the bloodbath of Stockholm, because a lot of people actually get executed here in the past times.
What do they get executed for?
That I don't know actually.
The Stockholm Bloodbath was a trial that led to a series of executions in Stockholm between 7th and 9th of November in 1520. The event is also known as the Stockholm Massacre. The events occurred after the coronation of Christian II as the new king of Sweden.
So we're going to the palace now, are we?
Yeah, the palace. The guys should be like the soldiers actually making some stuff, but maybe it's
really?
called. Yeah, they do this is like a ritual, or I don't know what they do.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
That is perfect.
There's so much potential here. Okay, I think we go around.
They do,
and
yeah,
then we get-
exactly. They
yeah.
actually make noise.
No birds were harmed in the process
Exactly.
of these sample pack. Okay, very cute shot. This couldn't have planned this out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I should do the same. I haven't used Metro for a really long time. I feel bad about it. Tack så mycket.
Thank you.
That is a long one.
Cool.
At the moment we are in Kungsträdgården, and this is a special place, or this line of this metro line is special because it's supposed to be the world's one of the biggest open air museum. So every station in this blue line is another gallery. And
Stone. So if we could find along the way anything to use to hit objects, it'll give us a whole different palette of sounds.
Yeah.
Now, right behind you, there's a metal box. We have to go have a look.
yeah. Oh, nice.
And if the train could do that thing again, that would be really
the
cool.
train will move in 2 minutes, so we will have a lot of noise coming. Now we turn into ASMR.
Soon we'll be like. Cool. So that's the kind of loop, that's the kind of thing you put down at like super low volume in the back of your song, kind of like vinyl crackle or just like a noise floor. so that in between your beats you don't have perfect silence. You put some kind of ambience like this, you know, but really quiet, so you can't really tell, but it makes the difference between perfect silence and just like a room tone. Super nice. There's just so much to do here. We got all the humming and the hissing on that one, so that was really good.
So much material.
Very cool. Good idea.
There's a lot of nice tones there as well.
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's so innocent.
Yeah. Do this?
It's so innocent.
Yeah. It's like you do this, but not that.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It's so innocent. Curious now what we're gonna do once we get into the studio. We're gonna have a lot of good material. We'll have to like.
Yeah. But are we going full abstract, like no melody at all, or are we going more like I don't know, random stuff whenever it comes, or do we have like?
Maybe we should at least have something melodic in there.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting a lot of atonal sounds, which is cool.
Yeah.
But then we can also do something like with the Bassline Generator.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like a very easy melodic pattern of some tonal sound. I don't know what we can turn into tonal sound, but even.
Okay, one question: do we have any coins? Because now we're gonna record this guy and use these songs, and we don't give any coins.
And I've
to
only
him.
got euros as well.
Euros.
No, but I mean, if we are gonna record him, I feel like
I
what
think
is
we
good?
should.
I feel like almost I've got 10. It's worth it, no? It's karma.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like because we're benefiting from this guy.
Exactly.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you.
This is actually so good. I already had a couple of ideas, like a dun 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 dun. You can just look, that is done.
Do when they walk past. Just to see.
See a lot of people taking pictures here, and sometimes we have people performing here inside as well, which we have for lack of us, have somebody. That would be a pretty good spot for recording that sound as well. And it plays beautifully.
So let's go give him a tip and see if we're allowed to record for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay? Is it someone famous?
Did you see that? That one guy was just
Like, who's it? Who's that? I'm like kind of a big deal on the internet.
yeah.
Super nice. Okay, we've got a lot of good stuff so far, I think.
Yeah, but I have one more thing. We have to say it. It's just so Swedish.
Something's wrong. Blondes have more fun, they say. effort and like, do you know what this means? So creepy. Oh, also creepy.
I wonder how we look outside, like going around and touching everything and recording. They have a lot of shiny stuff.
Just,
Okay.
who knows? Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's-
Oscar, what do you think? What do you say now?
That was really something else. I don't think I could ever feel like this Swedish in my life.
Did you
know.
see just what happened? Can you imagine that could have happened?
Man, the depth and richness of ABBA-related history was never so clear to me.
No.
And so,
And you
thank you
never-
so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. You never know that they did that much.
No, really.
Saved us. That
I-
big event, that crazy thing.
I think we need to get into the studio and start working on some
Yeah,
of this stuff.
this is too much inspiration.
All right, let's go home.
Yeah. All right, we are back in the studio now.
So we had like several hours worth of content from Stockholm, which is a beautiful city, especially in the winter. They're going to tell you in the summertime, but don't believe them. The winter, it's also pretty nice.
Yeah.
And so we got all sorts of different samples, a lot of percussive stuff, hitting stuff, a lot of atmospheric stuff, some weird sounds. And today, maybe it would be a good idea to take those sounds,
Yeah.
a track from scratch, using only the sounds from this. So we're not going to use like a kick drum sample or a hi-hat sample or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. And we are not going to use any synthesizer neither. So all the things that will be in the track will be created from the samples.
So basically you can follow along using whatever you've got, any DAW that you've got, as long as it's got some sample players. Sample players are going to be pretty important in this. And then some kind of suite of effects. So you're going to need things like saturation, delays, and reverbs. And today we're being hosted by Reason Studios right here. So we're going to be using the Reason Rack Effect plugins, which you can just get as a VST.
And I want to open a parenthesis there because I am not a really Reason user. So I know a couple of Reason players, like the arpeggiator and so on, but I never used actually Reason effects up to now. So I will play the noob, but I, on the other hand, think that it can, how hard can it be, right? We will just figure it out on the way. So I will figure it out on the way. And if I make some happy accidents, it's good. Then I will probably do something that I'm not expecting to doing. And then if it sounds good, it sounds good.
I have full confidence. If I've seen the amount of plugins and softwares that you've mastered over the years for your channel, I'm fully confident that we can make it work. Before you make a track, always good to think about a BPM, a tempo, right? And if we're gonna do techno, that could be anywhere on the slowest side from like 120 up to 140 on the highest side, right? So where are we gonna go?
130, yeah,
Let's say 130 is in the middle.
In
And then
between.
when it gets going, we can try speeding it up or slowing it down to see how it feels. Do you want to start with percussion or some other elements?
I think I need a metronome, means that I don't want to use a metronome, so let's do something like at least gives us the BPM, so the feel, so that everything gets a bit easier. It will be a kick. It doesn't need to be something like a kick, but type of something like on the beat, just giving us the BPM, right? Okay, fine. This is good.
Cool. All right. And so if you want to make a kick out of field recordings, how would you do that?
Yeah, there's one of the easy one, or the solution would be probably just putting a pitch envelope on your percussive sound, bring it down to like a really low frequencies, and then you can sustain it low there, and then you will have this regular kick, right? The other thing that you can also do is actually you can take a percussive sound and just pitch it down, because most of the things, especially if you are hitting like a drums or the metal things, they have this sustain tail, and if you bring it down, it will already kind of sound like a kick, and then maybe you can layer it with another percussion and so on.
So what I'd suggest then is that maybe on a new MIDI track with the sampler, with Ableton sampler, you do that, and then afterwards I have the idea of adding in one of the distortion units that's in Reason, which is called Pulverizer, which is really nice. So maybe we can do a combo of that. So the kick sample in Ableton plus the distortion in Reason.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan actually. That would work. Now this is the part you have to figure out what you want. I want something a bit more sustained. That's the reason I'm jumping on so that I can use the tail a bit more. That's this one. Whoa! Oh, there's a bit too much probably.
Yeah.
Like this one.
There was also that tube in the subway.
Yeah, right. There.
It's a subway pipe drum. That's that one.
Okay, actually this is pretty good. It's here. Right. The thing is, you can just sit down. Now it's a bit. I may use this sound still. I'm gonna do it this way because. What oftentimes you can do is just bring in equalizer. This area is the area that you are mostly interested on the kick. We have already kind of nice thing. We can always boost, right? But that thing here is a bit too. Yeah, let's try to play around. Pitch envelope amount. I can bring it. Let's try from up to down. Maybe 24 is better. Like if you do it, it will be just too long, and then you're cutting off all the lows. So you can also bring it down, to be honest. Yeah, so we can get pretty dark. I would probably go from here like a saturation distortion to beef it up.
So we need it to be a bit beefier. So we're gonna go here to plugins, and we're gonna go to Reason, up, Reason. And what we're gonna do, very important, is we're gonna right click the Reason and we're gonna set it to favorites. Okay, this is super important.
First thing that you do.
Okay, so we're gonna use the plugin effect. Reason has this very cute looking one called Pulverizer, which really... Okay, so I'll turn it off. Now, the first thing you're going to notice here is that it just sounds louder, right? Don't let yourself be tricked, because louder always sounds better, right? But in many cases, this one does also just sound better. So what I'll do is I'll reset the device. And when you go into Pulverizer, the first thing that you want to do is just turn this dirt knob, see what happens. Squash is kind of like a compressor, but it you don't get a lot of control over it. Then you've got a filter. Okay, so we might need to finesse a little bit the envelope here, because this feels a little bit. Whenever the sound stops, it feels like it jerks.
Yes.
Now, because to avoid it being too long, we might need to shorten the notes then as well.
You can also maybe apply envelope here.
Like this.
The other thing that we can do here is actually, again, I'm just gonna go for a little bit Ableton.
Sure.
Like the point that you were making, that we don't have this sustained clear bass line. So what you can do is actually, most of the time, Ableton has the drum bass, which basically adds a sine wave, but they call it boom, and then you can actually pick where you want to add that boom. In this case, let's say we were adding at 55. You can just 55 here, and then you get that boom, and then you can increase this. Maybe not that much, and you can damp the trance in as well. Now we can hear that boom a bit more, but I would still think the main problem with our sample here is we are getting this very high pitch sound. Maybe we can play on the decay a bit more actually. Okay. Give me a Reason compressor. I want the compressor now.
Okay, we're gonna just put it in the same chain there. We're gonna go to Effects. Now, a compressor. So we have to go into the built-in devices, and there's the M-class compressor. There's the master bus compressor. There's channel dynamics. So there's a couple of different compressors, and they all kind of do something that's supposed to emulate some kind of analog gear. So let's try this one.
Great.
Which got a gain, a threshold, a ratio, an attack, and a release. So hopefully that should do the trick.
That should be more than enough. My idea is, like, if I get something really heavy compression and use a longer attack time, then we will let the initial pass through, but that sustained tail, we can cut it through. And afterwards, I will even suggest, like, we freeze this one so that we can control the tail manually on the volumes as well. So then we will have a lot of control over what we are doing.
Great idea.
And then I'm going to use the... Yes! Now we are much getting closer to that kicky sound. Let me see if I want to have also a bit air, the dirt there. How do you feel about this?
I feel pretty okay. I still I'm missing it a little bit because I'm so used to like 909 kicks. I'm missing that like dunk in that punch in the chest feeling, you know.
Shall we try something here? And then There's too much. The thing is, we're gonna freeze it and then control the tail. So it's actually fine a bit too long so that we can cut that tail, right?
Great point.
I'm gonna keep it this way.
Cool.
And then we can freeze flatten and then play around.
Yeah, let's make it work. So what we would do is we'd freeze the track. We're gonna commit to all of this stuff because sometimes when you've got a lot of effects, it becomes a bit chaotic. And when you've got audio, you can basically work with that in the ways that you know how. Also, the waveform of the audio might tell you something about what's good or bad, you know? So what are we seeing here on this
Yeah, this is a very typical, this is the thing that you mentioned as well, right? Now we have this very predominant or very dominant like a initial click and thumb, and then we kind of have this tail. The thing that I'm seeing the first time, we are having a very stereo sub bass.
Indeed.
That is probably an alarming bell, so I'm gonna bring in a utility just to mono it.
And the way you saw this, by the way, is because you see these two lines, one above the other, and if they're not identical, that means that the signal on the left channel is slightly different from the one on the right, which gives a stereo signal.
Exactly, and then afterwards I'm gonna freeze one more time because I want to see the mono signal so that I can actually decide which part. Like
there we
this
go.
is
Now
a very
mono.
nice actual tail. I want to keep this part, and then we can actually contribute this one with maybe something like that and create our own little.
Really Frankensteining it together.
Yeah, they're making own little heavy kicks. Yeah,
I like what you did there.
Yeah, now we will be maybe having a bit fun here. Let's bring them up, and then it's
like a crossfade.
nicely blended in. I have no idea how this will sound. I'm gonna be as surprised as you. Look at
What
that!
the heck?
Look at this! This is just perfect.
Okay, so before, kind of fat and flabby.
Yeah. This is absolute perfection.
You're a
This is so good.
genius. You're a genius. I love it.
We got this.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so now once you've got it, delete everything else that doesn't
comment to this
deserve
thing.
to be in our track. Move this over and then consolidate to make it something that just becomes one thing, which you can then Command D to duplicate 4 times and make 4 on the floor.
This is a very good kick.
This is a really good kick.
This is a really good kick.
Yeah, nice. And do we have this thing? Let's put it on the offbeat.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people say that's enough for techno.
Yeah, exactly. That's that. You put it into the club, and then people is having fun already.
Yeah. I would say in terms of essential techno percussion, this is the low end, then the high end needs at least a hi-hat, and that could be enough for the track. Of course, we can go further, but that could be enough.
Yeah.
So let's do the hi-hat.
Yeah, let's do the hi-hat. Pick the sample.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just do an upbeat hi-hat because we know with techno how functional we want to be. So with an upbeat hi-hat, you know that you're going to put a MIDI clip that's 1 bar, and we play C3 on every upbeat. That's halfway between the 2 kick drums, and you hold down Option to copy that across. And this is going to give you the most standard hi-hat pattern possible. We haven't even chosen a sound yet, but you see where this is going, right?
Don't you feel the kicks should be always blue and the hi-hat should be always yellow?
I do feel that, yeah.
Isn't it?
It's just kicks are so bluey and hi-hats are so yellowy.
Yeah, it is a thing. Like
It's a Swedish colors. We've got coffee, we've got our kick drum. Really, the rest is easy once you've got all this.
I would call it a day, and that's it.
All right. I remember there was a metro sound, like the subway, that starts and goes.
Yes, yes.
So I want to take a little slice of that, and you can make either something called a closed hi-hat, which is a short one, or an open hi-hat, which is the long one. We can change the length of it using envelopes, so we can just figure it out. Now, I'm going to use the Reason sampler right here. Subway leaving number 2. I'm going to consolidate it. I'm going to show it in the browser. And I'm going to drag it in here. There we go. So last time we did it in slice mode, but this time I'm just going to find the relevant sound, and I'm going to play it. So it's but it's not the hi-hat.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's accidentally almost perfect.
Today's the accidentally perfect.
Honestly, I don't need anything better than that. That's perfect. So when you put a spectrum analyzer on any sound, white noise is when you hear almost all the frequencies equally. And notice how there's all this like super low end frequencies in there. We probably don't want that. So let's put an EQ8 on there and really mercilessly kill anything that's, I'm gonna say, really like quite high. So you hear the difference. Low end, high end. We only need the high end for this track. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit play, and you're gonna hear this. Probably gonna get very exhausting very quickly, unless we tweak the sound. Cool. I'm gonna bring down the sustain so it goes down to 0, and then shorten the decay, and find the sweet spot where it kind of grooves along with the kick. Hot.
Very good.
That's more like a closed hi-hat. More like an open hi-hat.
Yeah?
I quite like this.
That is really perfect.
Okay, cool. That's the hi-hat.
The only thing that I may suggest here, shall we add a slightly every another photo attack? So it's a little bit different.
Super cool idea. So we want to change the amp envelope over time.
Yeah.
Well, we probably want to use either maybe just some automation in Reason. So what we can do is we can drag this out. Some automation in Ableton, I mean, sorry. We can drag this out and make it an 8-bar loop. And over those 8 bars, we can then hit A for automate. We can move the parameter that we want to change. That's going to move the little wriggly, this little red line up here. And we can now automate that by hitting the button here and bringing it up, for example. And we're going to have to figure out what the sweet spot is. But imagine something like this, so that it goes a little bit of attack.
Kind of colored.
See,
Yeah,
so
sounds good. What should we do? Like low end, kind of? Like maybe toms, like maybe double kind of stuff?
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Give me some of that
Double stuff. I remember we had this, like we were hitting in the boxes, and then there were like a tonal tom sounds, kind of. Do you remember that song? Can it be
Oh no,
this
that's
one?
it.
Ooh. Though not this one. That will be like a. Look at these ones. Really manually putting them on top of each other, like and then side chaining probably, and then adding some random Reason effects, tailoring stuff on top of each other before really knowing if they will work. My idea is like we see the visual kick, right? We don't want this one on top of the kick, but all the empty area here, I'm going to just bring it in. I have no idea how it will sound, but I'm going to just test, because this audio, you never know. Now this is a bit too clicky. I'm going to do that a bit high pass, low pass, and play around. I'm going to play with the kick now. Yeah,
Dope.
we are seeing how it is going. I'm gonna do just take the high end a bit off, and then again we will use some delays and so on. But I'm just gonna put a sidechain so that I have this boom boom like pumping going on for us. Again, it doesn't need to be this way perfectly, but feeling the groove helps oftentimes when you make it. This sidechain the kick, right? It is pumping going, and I'm gonna put a look ahead. Now, give me some delays, some reverbs, something that makes dark noises.
Love it. Add it here. And so, yeah, so whenever we're doing a rumble, you want to just sort of smear the sound out in the lows, and the echo is a really nice unit for that. Now, before we go any further as well, there is, of course, once we're working in the ultra lows, we probably don't want super wide stereo image.
No,
again.
no.
So probably want to go for that utility. You have two options, either simply mono it, or bass mono it below a certain frequency, or select left or right. That's another way of monoing it. Which one would you use in this situation?
I think we keep the like some of the information stereo for this one to give this like a nice stereo feel vibe. We can go for bass one exactly like that, and then keep the rest fine for now. And then we can of course decrease the width depending on how stereo the thing is.
Exactly. So this is a delay unit. We're going to reset it, and it starts dry wet 100%. So what we're going to do,
Here we go.
yeah, this is pretty good. What it's got is this color section.
Give us some,
Pretty nice.
yeah.
I like it. Tell me.
a bit diffusion maybe somewhere like diffusion, probably like something like a reverb-ish.
Yeah, because we're monoing afterwards.
Yeah.
That's good. Super nice.
Can we add a bit maybe reverb to give a boom?
For sure we can. So there is the RV7000 reverb, where we definitely just have to find ourselves a. Okay. When I'm composing for myself, I try to separate the low rumble from whatever I have up high.
Yeah.
Because I find it easier to control something that's really drastically low passed. I can set it next to my kick at the right level, and then set the whatever high rumble I've got at a different level. So maybe it's a smart moment at this point to duplicate this track, and to say that one of them is going to be the low rumble. So we go low rumble, and then drastically low past that.
Yeah.
And so on that one, we can actually get away with being less creative in a way, because low frequencies often, they're kind of blurry anyway. And so what we can do is something like... So without this, there's silence in between our kicks. And with it, there's this kind of sense of space in the lows, which then now we can now have this pipe drum do something else, which we can high pass quite drastically.
Now, for that part, I want something like this. Like I will show with the hand. Like if you played loop.
Oh.
Like. How can we do that? Rather than having this constant like.
Okay. Well, so because you're clapping, it's very cool when you know where you want the thing to sit on the beat. Then you probably want to like just draw that in as MIDI, because if you really know where you want it to sit, then you can have full control over it. So you're going boom ta da.
I'm even thinking now. Now I'm jumping too much, like like making at the moment a little bit, but like this kind of
boom ta da, something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And now when you're putting in secondary percussion, right, you've got your main percussion really tight on the grid, which is a very techno feeling. Sometimes you want your secondary percussion to be swung, which just means pushing, let's say, the ones that are here a little bit back. Not too far, because then it's going to sound like triplets, but just a little bit. And then maybe, was there a second part to that, or was it that?
I think we can feel, but if something could be like
So
this one probably here.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it would work. If it maybe it's too like cheeky for this type of track, but we can
Maybe
see.
take maybe these metal key bangs and drag them in. Up, go back into our sound, and find a place where it sounds cool. Like if we find a transient, really almost any transient will do, because we can warp it afterwards. And let's see what happens.
Okay,
It definitely didn't sound how I thought it was going to.
2020.
Shakira's about to come
exactly.
in. Whoa. Okay, hang on. What? Let's find a darker sample. Okay, it's a very quiet recording.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Morse code.
Yeah,
it's like a
kind
message
of,
from
yeah.
outer space. That's actually kind of cool. It's kind of weird, but I'm not against it. But let's bring it down a couple of octaves.
Here you go. This is the hook, really.
And then
Can we side chain?
Reason's distortion plugin called Scream on it. Scream is absolutely
Already a very
sick.
promising name.
Yeah, exactly. So let's put the sidechain on there. Is that okay? Do you set your release time to a particular thing by default?
No, not default. I
Okay.
always feel what to do.
Yeah. I do, but set it to 70 by default. So,
I do. 70 is good.
yeah, that's what I like. Okay, so there we go. So Reason Rack plugin. I'm going to put it before the compressor because we want the compressor to basically take the whole signal afterward. We're going to just reset the device. And then this is like the amount control, you know? So let's set it to halfway. and then just find the timbre that we like. So we hear a little bit of clicking every now and then. And when you hear clicking, look at the envelopes that are being played. So you have this amplitude envelope, and the clicking happens when the sound tries to go from -infinity decibels to some amount of decibels. And so for the amplitude envelope, we just have to set the attack to a tiny little bit. And you can see down here how many milliseconds that is. So like, let's say 1 is usually enough, 2 maybe. That's cool. Let's keep looking. One of these tape ones or tube. Which one are you attracted to?
I would also suggest maybe we put now, probably we will low pass this sound, right?
That's a good idea.
So we can put low pass and play around a little bit. I want to see how those super abusive ones actually sounds when you low pass them a little bit. Right.
Oh, and look at this. Look at this like super huge amount of low end junk. It's just drastically. That's weird as heck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think it's fine.
if we tidy up. Do you prefer the sustained or not sustained? It's a different direction, right? Then maybe it was shorter release then. We could also still move the sample start around. It's going to change a lot. Shall I move a bit?
Right.
I've definitely heard this in the song somewhere. This kind of got this percussive sound to it.
Yeah. I wonder, shall we go some crazy effect? But give me something like phasey, chorusy.
I'm glad you asked. On this, right?
Yeah.
Chorus. And let's take, I don't know, secret sauce. Okay. What we could do is put like a reverb before it, so it's got more stuff to crunch on, let's say. Maybe. It loses that percussive charm that it had. I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest.
No. Do you have phaser?
Phaser. Oh, this is one of the old school ones. Super nasty, yeah. Yeah, cool.
It's got like a
Like a resonator kind of feeling, right? So what I propose that, okay, so when you're working on techno, I find that it's when you get stuck in a loop, you get exposed to the same stuff over and over again. So sometimes it's good to start building in a little bit of tension and release, like let's say 16 bars or something, but then a little like a micro climax at the end. You know what I mean? Like where you take away the kick. So like so then let's take away the kick here at the end. Set the loop here, so that whenever it gets here, we kind of feel like what it would sound like in the context of a drop, like this. One of the steps that you can take to start getting out of the loop eventually, right? Even though we're still kind of working a loop. See what it feels like here. I feel almost like a subtle 16th note delay behind this would fill up the space a bit nicer. The echo does that very well, but you gotta reset the device, set it to quite subtle, set it to 16th notes. And let's listen to that. So this is very dry wet, so it's like you can hear it never stops in a way. Yeah, there we go. And so we can set it relatively subtle. And if you wanted, you heard what just happened there, this. You could automate that to happen during a climax if you wanted to get that kind of feeling that everything is raising up.
Questions, what is next step? Like what do we want? Which direction shall we go?
I would like, in like 3 minutes, to create a secondary little hi-hat line.
Yeah?
That's a 16th note hi-hat line.
Yeah?
Because I feel like this hi-hat line is going to get a bit stale pretty quickly. We can duplicate it and simply play it every 16th note and taking into account a little bit the velocity, so it sounds like it's kind of pumping like a sidechain type thing. Hop. Call this the closed hi-hats. Right, and so we can go in here and make some changes so that it sounds like a closed hi-hat. And because it's identical to the other one, we probably want to shift this a little bit away so it isn't actually identical. So together with this one. Dope.
Yeah. Maybe we can add a bit groove as well. But also basically the main idea is getting something like here. And if you don't know, okay, I just lost my earrings, but we can pick something that feels good at the 16th maybe. And then you don't need to maybe have 100% timing. You can edit there and bring down a bit here. Maybe quantize a bit then. And then you can just pick it here and apply to it. I'm not sure if we want this much. Actually, you know what? We should do like this. Bring it down. I'm gonna just consolidate here and then loop here so that exactly so that it's not super repetitive. So now it should be much longer if we solo this.
Okay, let's see the context of the loop.
I feel like we need kind of a hook still, more hook. But the question is like, do we want the melodic hook or do we want the like abstract hook?
Oh, Bassline Generator.
Oh yeah, that we can take.
Bassline Generator. For anyone at home, if you have to get a hook, Bassline Generator is like the secret code. What Bassline Generator is it's a player device inside of Reason, which is basically the same way as saying it's a sequencer device within Reason, which automatically comes up with really, really nice melodic patterns. So for this, to get this to work, we need two things. We need that player device and we need some kind of sampler that has something in it that has a tonal quality to it, so some kind of pitch, so that then when that sequencer plays different melodies, the actual sound will change pitch and it'll sound like a melody. What we'll do is we'll go here and we'll put this one over here. Then ignore everything that's here. Go over here and go to Players, Bassline Generator. This is your secret code, okay? Boom. Now this thing is going to generate this bassline, but this is just MIDI data right now at this point. It's not going into any synthesizer. So we can either put the synthesizer in here right now or route this MIDI to a different Ableton track where we would put like a Diva or a different VST. In this case, maybe let's just use a sampler inside of Reason. That's the easiest one now. So we'll put in the Mimic Creative Sampler, reset the device, and then put in something tonal. So we show in browser, grab it from here, put it in there. Oh, this is going to be good. So just so you get a taste of what that sounds like, First Musician sounds like this.
But you see, you hear it in the beginning, then that first note, that one.
That very first note. We go to the very start. I love it.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go. After a little bit of chipotage, as we say in Brussels, this should work. So what you're seeing here is notes being played from left to right.
I kind of like it. I mean, it may work, especially if you put a lot of...
It is techno, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you put a bit reverb on that, it will turn into this abstract techno thing.
And people say music theory doesn't work.
Okay. Throw in things.
So you're saying we're making it short, like this, amplifier envelope, and
Maybe
not.
try. I want the delay on top of this.
Cool.
Get it like, and I may actually get a bit creative with the delay now, because
Please do.
I think the using a single delay won't cut off for this type of sound. If you want to really get creative, you want to actually create a delay chains.
Oh my god,
And
what is
then-
he doing?
Yeah, this weird stuff going
What
on
is
here.
happening here?
I will put them probably 100% here, and we
Oh
can,
my god,
do.
a madman. So he's using parallel processing. So he's using an effect rack to create 3 separate copies of the sound, and 2 of them are going through different delay units, and 1 of them is coming through dry. Okay?
And the thing is, because we have this very rich sound, I may even use the filter here, so that one could be like a high end of the sound, the other one is the low end of the sound. If you just solo this sound, for example, right? This is the, for example, high part, and the ping pong could be nice now because we don't care too much about stereo field, it's high pitch sound. And then maybe this is synced like this, and then we can bring the second one. Now, everything is too loud, right? We don't want everything to be coming through. I'm gonna bring it down a bit. This is a little too much. Let me bring this down. And not that maybe.
With abstract sounds like this, it's going to be super satisfying when the
Yeah.
beat drops back in, because then everything lines up and all the rhythms bounce off of each other. Right? Ooh, spacey.
Yeah. I'm gonna just put it full until I really decide my.
Do you tend to use more the convolutions or the algorithmic part of it?
It really depends. I think I've started really loving this hybrid reverb thing, like different combinations especially, and they like go for this really industrial whole type of thing with that. But my main idea here is not sidechaining. I'm gonna put the look ahead as well, being the creepy guy with the look ahead. So let's put the kick first. And you don't hear the kick now. I'm just gonna get the kick so that. Then let's get it back here. And which one was this one? And I'm thinking like upward compression to bring the groove that we had. This one, right? Yeah, I want this sound to react to this sound as well. So what happens is that I'm gonna pick this. I don't know if it will work. This is really random abstract idea. And then this is first percussion. And then if you put the expand, so that whenever that sound hits, this sound will also get louder. So that it's like
Interesting.
they get kind of together, groove together, kind
What a
of.
cool idea.
So let's try, and this one. So whenever that thing hits, this also goes up with compression. But we should of course use the sidechain afterwards, so that the kick also is the most important thing.
They really blend together. We've got this like
Yeah.
tonal phasing part, and now here I would just out of like being a little bit neurotic, always put like an EQ8 just to see.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of stuff that's gone through a lot of processing. And you see that stuff here? You want to clean that up. So this is too far, although it's still... Yeah, this is okay for me.
Yeah, fine.
Wow. Cool. Hey, this is going somewhere.
Yeah, this is getting cool. I'm gonna be extremely efficient now. What I'm going to do is just bring the feedback all the way up, just to hear that I can create, like, get this super feedback from our hook, and our hook is this one. This is the sand channels. I'm going extremely fast now. If I send it there and solo it here. Actually, I wanna. Okay, no, stop. So what I want after is actually, to be honest, echo here. Again, my favorite delay plugin of all time. And I'm gonna delete this off. The main idea is if I bring this more than 100%, it will start to feed itself, and the sound goes really up, starts to break apart.
Like a feedback loop.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it gets into a feedback loop. So if I
I'm going to use it for the climax.
bring down the return back to the thing, right?
And we're going to sort of resample that for the as a layer in the climax.
Exactly.
Okay.
They click here. What we should do probably is like if I go for an auto filter, right? Put an A here, probably something like that. We probably don't want that much, and then bring it in. And the final one will be put a reverb to smear it up. Yes.
Super cool.
This one.
Nice. So what we're trying to do really here is in this, so this section here is more or less a perfect loop with the beat and everything in it. And then over here where the kick drops out, what we're trying to do is we're going to create a sense of build up so that then when the loop resets over here, we kind of have a little bit of a climax feeling. So this this little section is almost like a microcosmos of what a full track would be like, right? So over this amount of time, we need something to build tension. And this is right now our, let's call it the delay builder, something like this. And
you can also turn off the other icon now so that we don't get double feedback.
Ah, yes, very important. So there we go. Cool. So what it sounds like in context is it's a bit loud. So you got to make sure that whatever you build up here, that your kick doesn't sound small when it comes back, you know. So there we go. It's really cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So now probably I would also say we need some kind of white noise splash at the start. That's one of those cliche things to mark that something's epic. And so to do that, I would just, because we're a little bit under time pressure right now, I would use proven techniques like, for example, taking the subway leaving and just using the audio from that. And we hold that down. We want to actually not have a MIDI channel, but an audio channel. And just go psh at the start. And then we're going to put a bunch of reverb and delay on that. And that's going to be very efficient, as we say in French, efficace.
And how do you say it in Flemish?
Good question. That's a good question. So, yeah, it's this, huh? Yeah, it's nice and fresh. And so, well, we don't want it to go quite that long. So we can just take this. It's like a cymbal splash. Yeah, that's going to be fine. I can already tell you it's got a lot of low end, so we definitely want that out.
Yeah.
As always, chuck, chuck, chuck. You know, if you're working with field recordings, you're going to have a lot of like frequencies where they sort of don't belong, and that adds to the beauty and texture of everything, but you got to keep that under control. So I quite like that. And I actually am stuck in the 90s because I still use this.
More than enough.
Yeah, it does what it needs to do. I would actually usually use like an LFO tool on this, but I will just do sidechain it to the kick. Sort of gentle pulsing. That's cool. Maybe it's enough. You could also use reverb, but actually inside the sample there's almost like reverb on it. So yeah, there we go.
I think the two things that we can still do here, I'm not 100% happy with how loud it came here, so probably bring it a bit smoother. Let me see. Yeah, and then let's use your noise one more time.
Love it.
And let's reverse it. This is also another cheesy things that people do, like me, like the people like me. Okay, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit, so I'm
It's a little
just
bit quieter.
exactly. I want it very quiet actually.
Super cool.
Yes.
I have another idea.
Okay,
I have
do
another
it.
idea. So what you sometimes have, like the cliche white noise riser tends to be white noise plus a band pass filter that's automated to go up, right?
Yeah.
But instead of white noise, what we can use is the metro leaving, the metro speeding up. I remember there was a subway that's, let's copy it down here. There's a subway sound where it starts to go faster and faster. There.
Yeah, that is just yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you had a long break, you could use the entire thing. We're only going to use a small section of it because we're trying to squeeze everything into a very short amount of time. But that's fine. So here what I would do to make it, well, let's see what it sounds like just like that. It's probably going to be too much. That's actually
that's
that's
already
pretty
good.
close to where it needs to be. I think we're very close to our minimum viable product,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
What I really want to do here is I want to put scream distortion on this thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I have to do it. I have to do it. Let's try it. It's probably too much, but pretty cool. Now let's, as always, get our frequencies a little bit under control. One of the things you want to do in a breakdown is that you don't want too much low-end playing because you want contrast between before and after the climax, so to speak. You know, so I tend to like put a little bit of contrast. Yeah, that's cool.
That's fine.
Almost like an air raid siren or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because it stops so suddenly, maybe just a little bit of like delay that's so that it kind of keeps going. Not too loud, but
I have one more thing that I think may work. Is what about doing a double kick? These are turning into my favorite things lately.
really.
Yeah, I'm using other double kicks. I'm overusing them, but please don't hate. Kind of.
Yeah. All right, so we've got ourselves a little sort of sound nugget here with a couple of really cool musical ideas that would still probably need to be developed a little
Yeah.
bit further, right? And we might not have time to do it further today, but if you had your way with this as a starting point, what would you do next, just as a description?
I think at the moment you also always need to think about the full project, right? Full track. At the moment we have a nice, I would say, a viable loop that we can actually extend to. So what I would think that the people who watch my arrangement videos would know that actually I go by like the bottom or the top bottom approach, but I always have like 2 or 3 loops like at the beginning. Okay, this is my, let's say, the first verse. Okay, how I can support with this with the break, right? Then I will try to come up with another loop next to it so that they sound still similar, and then I have my break. That means that now when I start to arrange the track, I have already like 2 loops I can connect to each other and go from. And then finally I will probably create one more loop and call it my chorus, like the highest point of the track, the climax, and then make it as catchy, as good as possible. And that is the most of the time the part that I ask other people, okay, do you think this is catchy enough, this is good enough? If they feel and if I feel it's good enough, then the rest is just connecting the dots together, because now I have everything that I need actually to build whole track.
Yeah. So indeed, so this could be one of those 3 loops which kind of represent 3 different energy levels of the same track, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
So we could either keep workshopping this and make it more dense as the highest energy loop, or or take away elements to create lower energy versions of this, and then connect those with breaks so that there's push and pull, tension and release on those moments. Yeah, I think also when you're working like this, you get kind of blind to certain elements that might not be working. Like, so we might need to like sleep on this.
Yeah, it's always the yesterday is great track, today is trash track. So you have to always. I made it so many times like that. I thought that I'm a genius before I sleep, and the next day I realized how trashy I was. It happens.
I think people will relate to that. Yeah, cool. No, so I hope you enjoyed our little techno collaboration.
Yeah, in Reason Studios.
And so, as you can see, we were using a mix of different tools. Use these. You can either use the Reason plugins as VSTs in whatever other DAW you're using. The concepts that we applied are pretty much universal. You can use this on anything. You can even use these concepts in hardware if that's what you prefer. Yeah. So don't be bound by the tools. Think about the concepts.
And I think I agree with that. Like, and it's easy to see here how beautifully it flows when you combine different tools, and you end up with the unexpected results, and it really drives the creative further through the line. Many times you may hear, okay, I don't know what to do, I don't have an idea, I don't have anything to play to, or I'm stuck in that loop. And this type of approaches can help if you are like a synthesizer based producers. doing something like that could be very challenging and create new ideas. If you are this type of producers, then you can take some of the ideas here, apply to your workflow, and then come up with new stuff. Okay, for the people who is seeing me for the first time, I go by the name Yalcin Efe and Mercurial Tones Academy. And then if you just search it on YouTube, or probably we will have some links below, you can take a look at there. I mostly do Ableton tutorials. And mostly in house and techno music, to be honest. And this is the genres that I really enjoy, and this is the genres that I enjoy making tutorials as well. If you're interested in those genres, I welcome you to the channel as well.
And once you've watched every single tutorial on Yalcin's channel, if there's anything left to discover, come to my channel, Oscar from Underdog. So Underdog Electronic Music School, that's where I go into electronic music for beginners, often focused on dance floor genres like house and techno, but quite broad in general. Slap the like button.
And subscribe.
And subscribe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.